Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, we will commence today's satsang with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of the Muktakatrayam verses by Nanda Kumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Ekam aksharam hृदि निरन्तरं भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम्. हृदयकुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति. हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जता आनचलनिरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः. कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्टात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः विभाति स्वयं. सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो revathi swayam. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with chanting of verses from Upadesha Saram by Ashwini Balaji and Uma Shripati.
नमो रमण इदमहं पदाभिक्यमन्वहम् अहमिलीनके प्रलयसत्तया विग्रहेन्द्रिय प्राणधीतमा नाहमेकसत्तज्जडं ह्यसत् सत्त्वभासिका चित्त्ववेतरा सत्तया हि चेत् चित्तया ह्यहम् ईशजीवयोर्वेषधीभिधा सत्स्वभावतो मस्तु केवलम् वेषहानत स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनम् स्वात्मरूपत आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा अपूर्णचित्सुखम् बन्धमुख्यति तं परं सुखम् विन्दति हजी वस्तुदैविका अहमपेतकं निजविभानकं महदिदं तपो रमणभाग्यम् नमो नमो
Namo Ramana. We go on to the offerings from Ramananjali Sangeetam. The first one will be by Srimati V. Radha, accompanied by Vallabh, and the second one by Srimati Pratibha Sundaresh.
Namo Ramana to all. Today we have selected a song written by Y.V. Venkateshwara Rao. The original is Telugu and the translation, Tamil translation, is done by Uvai Singh Ottuvan. And the music is by Sri Vijay Bhaskar. Ramanayiniyanamam Ramanayiniyanamam Karunai Odiyin Deepam Karunai Odiyin Deepam Ramana Guruvin Ashramam Ramana Guruvin Ashramam Parama Punya Kshetram Parama Punya Kshetram Thiru Arunai Girivalam Thiru Arunai Girivalam Atma Shakti Unarthidum Atma Shakti Unarthidum Ramana Nama Kirtanam Ramana Nama Kirtanam Manobalam Malitidum Manobalam Malitidum Ramanayiniyanamam Karunai Odiyin Deepam Ramanan Kadai Ketkum Ramanan Kadai Ketkum Bhaktaridayam Magandidum Bhaktaridayam Magandidum Ramana Rupa Dhyaname Ramana Rupa Dhyaname Muktiyalikum Margame Muktiyalikum Margame Ramanayiniyanamam நாமம் கருணை ஒளியின் தீபம். ரமண கீதம் இசைக்கும் நெஞ்சில், ரமண கீதம் இசைக்கும் நெஞ்சில் தர்ம நெறிகள் ஓங்கிடும், தர்ம நெறிகள் ஓங்கிடும். ரமண கரஸ்பரிசமே, ரமண கரஸ்பரிசமே சகல நோயும் நீக்குமே, சகல நோயும் நீக்குமே. ரமண இனிய நாமம் கருணை ஒளியின் தீபம். ரமண நாம ஜபமே, ரமண நாம ஜபமே பக்தர் பசியை போக்குமே, பக்தர் பசியை போக்குமே. ரமண ஒளி பாய்ந்திடும், ரமண ஒளி பாய்ந்திடும். வாழ்வில் பொங்கும் ஆனந்தம், வாழ்வில் பொங்கும் ஆனந்தம். ரமண இனிய நாமம் கருணை ஒளியின் தீபம். ரமண குருவின் ஆசிரமம் பரம புண்ணியக்ஷேத்திரம், பரம புண்ணியக்ஷேத்திரம், பரம புண்ணியக்ஷேத்திரம். நமோ ரமண.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. This is a Sanskrit composition of Sri Kavikanta Ganapati Muni, and the music is by Sulochana Manu. वीतरागमपि लोकवत्सलं देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, वीतरागमपि लोकवत्सलं देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं. शक्तिमन्तमपि शान्तिसंयुतं भक्तिमन्तमपि भेदवर्जितं, शक्तिमन्तमपि शान्तिसंयुतं भक्तिमन्तमपि भेदवर्जितं. वीतरागमपि लोकवत्सलं देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, 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 देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितम्. एषयामि पितुरन्तिकं ममान्वेषणं तु न विधीयतामिति, एषयामि पितुरन्तिकं ममान्वेषणं तु न विधीयतामिति. संविलिख्य गृहतो विनिर्गतं शोणशैलशरणं समागतं, संविलिख्य गृहतो विनिर्गतं शोणशैलशरणं समागतं. वीतरागमपि लोकवत्सलं देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, वीतरागमपि लोकवत्सलं देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितं, देवतां समपि नम्रचेष्टितम्. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. Shiva did not tell us why she has chosen this song, but the Muni in this song, he says in the second paragraph of this song, he says, Eshayami piturantikam mamanveshanam tu navidhiyatam iti samvilikya grihato vinirgatam. Having written, this is going in search of the path, the Father, no energy, no money need be wasted in searching for this. So I'm going in search of my Father. I'm going on a good enterprise. And so saying, he wrote and he left home. Today we are on the eve of that date, which is the 29th of August. Tomorrow, that date when Bhagavan Ramana, as a boy of 16, left home in search of his father Arunachala and reached on the 1st of September 1896. We are now 125 years from that sacred event, and it is a beautiful thing to remember this. And we will be, of course, celebrating this event from tomorrow onwards till the 1st of September in different ways. We go on to the offering of Ramananjali music from Savitri Krishnan, Jai Shri Ram Krishnan, followed by an offering from Revathi Shankar.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. As Dr. Sharada Natarajan said, Bhagavan took avatara in Tiruchuri but landed up in Arunachala in search of his father. This song too connotes the same.
ರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದವ ಪೂಜಿಸಿ ಕೊಂಡಾಡಿ ನರ್ತಿಸಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸಂತೋಷದಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದವ ಪೂಜಿಸಿ ಕೊಂಡಾಡಿ ನರ್ತಿಸಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸಂತೋಷದಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ದೇವಲೋಕವ ತೊರೆದು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ತಿರುಚೂಳಿ ಊರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವತರಿಸಿದ. ದೇವಲೋಕವ ತೊರೆದು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ತಿರುಚೂಳಿ ಊರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವತರಿಸಿದ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ನಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಕಾತರದಿಂದಲೇ ಅರುಣಾಚಲಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ನೆಲೆಯೂರಿದ. ಅರುಣಾಚಲಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ನೆಲೆಯೂರಿದ. ರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದವ ಪೂಜಿಸಿ ಕೊಂಡಾಡಿ ನರ್ತಿಸಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸಂತೋಷದಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ಬರಿ ಮಾತಿನಿಂದೇನೋ ತರದದು ಮುಂದೇನೋ ಸತ್ಯದ ಕಡೆ ನೀನು ತಿರುಗೆನ್ನೋತ. ಬರಿ ಮಾತಿನಿಂದೇನೋ ತರದದು ಮುಂದೇನೋ ಸತ್ಯದ ಕಡೆ ನೀನು ತಿರುಗೆನ್ನೋತ. ಬಾರಿಸಿ ಕೆನ್ನೆಗೆ ತೋರುವ ಪರಿಯಲಿ ಸಾರಿತು ಗುರುನೋಟ ನನ್ನೆಡೆಗೆ. ಸಾರಿತು ಗುರುನೋಟ ನನ್ನೆಡೆಗೆ. ರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದವ ಪೂಜಿಸಿ ಕೊಂಡಾಡಿ ನರ್ತಿಸಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸಂತೋಷದಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ರಮಣನೇ ಗುರುದೇವ ರಮಣನೇ ಮಹದೇವ ದಾರಿ ತೋರುವ ಗುರು ದಿವ್ಯ ಭಾವ. ರಮಣನೇ ಗುರುದೇವ ರಮಣನೇ ಮಹದೇವ ದಾರಿ ತೋರುವ ಗುರು ದಿವ್ಯ ಭಾವ. ರಮಣಗೆ ಶರಣಾಗಿ ಪಾದದ ಧೂಳಾಗಿ ಬನ್ನೀರಿ ಬಾಲೆಯರೆ ಪದ ಹಾಡುವ. ಬನ್ನೀರಿ ಬಾಲೆಯರೆ ಪದ ಹಾಡುವ. ರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದವ ಪೂಜಿಸಿ ಕೊಂಡಾಡಿ ನರ್ತಿಸಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸಂತೋಷದಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದವ ಪೂಜಿಸಿ ಕೊಂಡಾಡಿ ನರ್ತಿಸಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸಂತೋಷದಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಗುರುವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲಿ. ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮಾಯ.
ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣಾಯ. ರಮಣಾಂಜಲಿ ಹೃದಯಾಂಜಲಿ ಗಾನಾಂಜಲಿ ದಿವ್ಯ ಗಾನಾಂಜಲಿ. ರಮಣಾಂಜಲಿ लोककल्याण रमण शरणाञ्जलि रमणाञ्जलि रमणाञ्जलि रमणाञ्जलि. Prostrating to Ramana, who is Loka Kalyana, I begin this new meditation on Ramananjali music. As it is the 125th year of Bhagavan's advent to Arunachala, as Akka said, we heard from Kameshwar Mama on the previous Paurnami, sharing during the previous Paurnami that Ramana Suprabhatam was composed by divine guidance during the centenary of Bhagavan's advent of Arunachala. And as this is the week when Bhagavan set out his journey, I felt it appropriate to meditate on Ramana Suprabhatam through Ramananjali songs. ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय श्रीरमणसुप्रभातम् श्रीमत्सुन्दरसुन्दर्योः सुपुत्ररमणप्रभो उत्तिष्ठ ऋषिशार्दूल कर्तव्यं लोकमङ्गलम् श्रीमत्सुन्दरसुन्दर्योः सुपुत्ररमणप्रभो उत्तिष्ठ ऋषिशार्दूल कर्तव्यं लोकमङ्गलम्. O Lord Ramana, blessed son of Sundaram and Alagammal, foremost among sages, arise to bestow auspiciousness to the world. Beautiful Sundaram, beautiful Alagammal gave us the beautiful son Ramana, who has come to our life to make it beautiful by giving us the path of the beautiful self-inquiry to make everything beautiful and auspicious. I present you a song written by Meenakshi Sundaram, music by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan. अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव करुणालय जय रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव करुणालय जय रमणपते सुंदरी नायक सुंदर बालक सुंदर वेंकट रमणपते सुंदरी नायक सुंदर बालक सुंदर वेंकट रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव करुणालय जय रमणपते तत्पर चित्पर नर्पद कर्पग सोर्पर सुगुण रमणपते तत्पर चित्पर नर्पद कर्पग सोर्पर सुगुण रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव करुणालय जय रमणपते चिन्मय शिवमय तन्मय उन्मय तन्मय तव जय रमणपते चिन्मय शिवमय तन्मय उन्मय तन्मय तव जय रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव करुणालय जय रमणपते शिवगिरिनिवास भवभयविनाश तीर अरुट्प्रकाश रमणपते शिवगिरिनिवास भवभयविनाश तीर अरुट्प्रकाश रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव करुणालय जय रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव करुणालय जय रमणपते अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव रमणपते नमो रमण
Namo Ramana. We often in our dance dramas, when we depict Bhagavan's journey to Arunachala, we have an imaginative approach to the train that carried Bhagavan. We believe that the train was also singing Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Ramanapate. We now go on to the reading and the sharing from Nanda Kumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our Satsangh, we continue to read from Fresh Discoveries, Western Seekers on Sri Ramana Maharshi, a compilation by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We are embarking on the last part of the book. This account, of course, is called Timeless Presence by Master Nome. We have spent the last 3 or 4 readings on this segment. So we start with the last paragraph. We had finished off the last reading segment. The glories of Sri Bhagavan are endless. Approach him assuming he has any of the characteristics of a man, and he proves to be transcendent of them all. If you approach as a knower of truth, he reveals himself to be far vaster as the truth, as Brahman itself. Then approach him as the Supreme Lord, as Shiva, as the ineffable Supreme Brahman itself, and he reveals himself in all his vast transcendent nature to be present moment by moment, even in the most ordinary of circumstances. The anecdotes were preserved by those blessed devotees and disciples who witnessed them display this again and again, and we find the same to be true now. His grace and wisdom and his silent presence with us all the time. There is a quote from Ulladu Narpadu. To the one who has destroyed himself his ego and is awake to his nature as bliss, what remains to be accomplished? He does not see anything as being other than himself. Who can comprehend his state? So we start this week's reading. Bhagavan is so very thorough. He destroys the root of ignorance, burns up all the branches of illusion like fire when it contacts straw, and reveals the sole reality in one stroke. He is none other than Dakshinamurti, revealing in one undifferentiated, unbroken expanse of silence the natural state of the egoless self. He provides the support of grace and the light of wisdom. He lays out the direct path, who am I, and is the ultimate encouragement, while he eliminates the doubt, can I realize the self, in a way non-dual, that makes it impossible for the doubt to rise again. Are there two selves? One to realize the other. His familiar instruction rings in our ears, blowing dualism's dust from our minds as his silent presence inundates our hearts. This is a beautiful summing up of Bhagavan's teachings in one sense. Are there two selves, one to realize the other? His familiar instruction rings in our ears, blowing dualism's dust from our minds as his silent presence inundates our hearts. He arranges for everything. We have only to adhere to him completely, practice his teaching without interruption, and follow his instruction exactly. Sri Bhagavan has said, Vichara is the process and the goal also. I am is the goal and the final reality. To hold to it with effort is Vichara. When spontaneous and natural, it is realization, he declared. The self-conscious being of eyelessness is that which is one's true state realized by destroying the ego through self-inquiry. Who am I? I could see that the world and the body, all composed of the elements, are not the true self, do not constitute an ego self, and are not real. I could see that the senses are not the self, do not constitute an ego self, and are not real. I saw that prana, in all its permutations, is not the self, does not constitute an ego self, and is not real. I saw that the mind, all thoughts, is not the self. It does not constitute an ego self, and is not real. The notion I is not the self, does not refer to an actually existing ego entity, and the I itself is unreal. I does not come from the real self, does not come from anything else, which is imagined only after the I is assumed and is not self-generated. Thus was the experience without these words or ideas. Who now saw? Who did not see them before? Who is the seer? When I sought within, I watched the disappearance of the seer and what survived him. No thought of I saw arose. How then could the thought I did not see arise? That is a translation of Bhagavan's words from Ashtakam. Kandavan Yavanana Karuthinul Nada, Kandavan Indrida Nindrathu Kandeen, Kandanan Indrida Karuthadavillai, Kandilan Indrida Karuthalumar. He can declare even that which is unutterable, though he is ever silent. The ever silent one alone has this right to describe the self in any near way that he wants, because he is free in that silence. The self is only being, not being this or that. It is simple being. Being, and there is an end of ignorance. Truly seeing and meditating even once upon this much of Sri Bhagavan's revelation of reality, realizing its meaning, supremely profound. The I does not survive. It never makes it even to the last sentence. His wisdom, his grace, his presence is all the reality itself. That is the self. The self alone is. There is no other. There is thus no ignorance and no separate knowledge, no separate state of knowledge, no bound state, and no separate state of liberation. The natural state of non-objective, uncreated being has no other, no alternative. There is no realizer, no I, and no tale to be told of an I. There has been no birth, there will be no death. There are no unrealized beings or realized beings. There is only being. There is no creation. Not a single objective thing has ever come to be. Being, which is itself limitless consciousness and bliss, alone is. It is unbroken silence. The Guru remains. The disciple disappeared. The real, which ever is, abides. The unreal, which never is said to have gone away. with a heart ever happy and at peace. All events are of no consequence, and all opinions are empty echoes. Appearance and disappearance are equal. The worldless, blissful knowledge is always and every day is an utsava, celebration of Him, the one for whom we have eternal gratitude. There is an indescribable joy in the meeting with any of His disciples and devotees, for He is the indweller in all of them, in of them all, and all are one in Him, that itself. In His great cosmic display of grace, Nataraja's dance, Sri Bhagavan makes Himself known in ever so many ways, according to His own time. It is beyond intellectual analysis. Our illusory bodies, unreal corpses in themselves, are to be regarded just as mere instruments in His hands, so that His truth and grace should be known, though He does not require us in order that He makes Himself known. Whatever is said, He speaks. I have nothing to say myself. To attempt to possess any experience or wisdom, bliss or freedom, is to lose it. Someone may ask a question. The answer is self-evident. There is no one to be a teacher or anything else. Moreover, all the trunks of the banyan are one banyan and have no individual existence. Over the years, this body, the author is referring to his body, over the years, this body has been temporarily saved from death and similar things that would have otherwise been considered calamities, disease, accidents, violence, etc. At one time, these would have been conceived as harrowing adventures. The Maharishis' grace and truth, though, have not only spared this life, albeit temporarily, but have completely and unfailingly removed any possible fear or suffering. Absorbed in that, there is no second, no fear, and no death. Blissful immortality is a plain and simple fact. Just being. It is the natural state, the innate, and that is all. I'll repeat that. The Maharishis' grace and truth, though, have not only spared this life, albeit temporarily, but have completely and unfailingly removed any possible fear or suffering. Absorbed in that, there is no second, no fear, and no death. Blissful immortality is a plain and simple fact. Just being, it is the natural state, the innate, and that is all. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Om Shri Ramanarpanamastu. Om Shri Ramanarpanamastu. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. So one journey will begin. The journey of Bhagavan till Madurai was completed on this sacred day. All the leelas which he played in Tiruchuri and Madurai, which also guide and inspire us for all time to come. But they concluded on this day, and the journey to Arunachala was to start tomorrow, on the 29th of August. We now have that the fruition of all that he came for in the abidance through the practice of self-inquiry. The session will be guided by Sri Dilip Simha.
Namo Ramana. ध्यायेत् शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखम् ताम्रारविन्देक्षणम् भक्ताभीष्टप्रदायकम् स्थबराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्याङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणेश्वरं गुरुवरम् योगासनाध्यासितम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतावत् पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. We will commence the Atma Vichara by listening to Bhagavan's Upadeshan. As usual, I will be reading from Guru Vachaka Kovai in the chapter Investigation into the Truth. And the topic for the evening blessed by Bhagavan is Aham Swarupa. Verse 258. The mind that has died in one's heart, the ocean of Gnana Swarupa, is eternal silence, Mauna. The transcendental expanse, the true heart, the rapturous sea of bliss supreme, is one's true I, Aham, which is replete with love. I repeat the verse. The mind that has died in one's heart, the ocean of Gnana Swarupa, is eternal silence, Mauna, the transcendental expanse, the true heart, the rapturous sea of bliss supreme, is one's true I, Aham, which is replete with love. Bhagavan here is taking us the mind which is outward turned to the one truth, that is one's own heart, which is the knowledge supreme, where it knows nothing other than itself, and hence it is eternally silence, it's in Mauna. That is the true expanse of the consciousness, the true expanse of the heart, where there is nothing. Since there is nothing, it is nothing but an ocean of bliss. And that ocean of bliss, that silence, that expanse is introduced to us as I by His grace. And He reveals that I has been the support of everything that one has gone through, and therefore it is the replete with love. Bhagavan's grace introduces the outward turned mind, that supreme truth which one alone is, which the truth alone is, by this quest of inquiry. When the mind runs behind innumerous thoughts, thinking them to be real, He comes as grace and asks us to inquire, to whom is this thought? And moment we put this question, to whom is this thought, he reveals that it is not for nothing, for nobody else other than this I. But this I that we thought we were thinking to be this jiva bhava, this identification with this body mind is not being true. He gently puts another graceful question, who am I? When we say this is I, he wants us to inquire who that I is. Know the true I that we are referring to, what we refer to as that real I. When we inquire who am I and try to know the source of that I thought, or inquire what I really refer to as I within me, when we turn within, His grace makes us one with that ocean of bliss, that mauna. And by repeatedly taking the mind from these imaginative thoughts to that ocean of bliss, that silence which is within us, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength to dissolve in that silence. And therefore he says in Atma Vichara that we should repeatedly question every thought, diligently question every thought that rises. And no matter how many thoughts rises and what may be the quality of the thought, the good, bad, ugly, or the spiritual, we should simply inquire to whom is this thought, recognize it is for me, and thereupon inquire who am I, and take the mind which was outward turned to that truth, to that mauna which alone is. And by repeatedly doing so, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength to remain at the source or to get dissolved in that source. The immense grace of Bhagavan with which alone you could have come to this direct path. Let us do Atma Vichara for the next 10 minutes. Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. Thank you.
Namo Ramana. We continue today's sharing with Sri Venkatesh Deshpandeji speaking to us about Hastamalaka, the translation by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi of Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada's work.
Dakshinamurti Sarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ramanacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhasha Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punaha Punaha Om. So in the last verse, we had done verse number 6 in Hastamalaka. Now typically the question that came up was to refute the theory of atheism advocated by people like Charvakas, who consider the body itself as the self, Dehatmavada. Hastamalaka adds the verse number 7. Manaschakshuradhir viyukta swayam yo Manaschakshuradhir manashchakshuradihi Manashchakshuradhir gamyam swarupaha Sanityopalabdhi swarupo hamatma. So that's the verse number 7. That which itself is different from mind, eyes and so on, and is mind of the mind, eye of the eye, which is inaccessible to mind, eyes and so on, I am of the nature of that ever-existing Atman. So Hastamalaka tells this to Shankaracharya. So let us try and understand the three main things that are being spoken about here. The first thing that is being spoken is, I am different from all the conditionings. So the upadhis or the limited aspects, I'm different from that. That's what Bhagavan is saying. The Atman is to be understood as different from all adjuncts and is ever existent. Some people, the Jadavadis or the Dehatmavadis, consider the body with its sense organs as Atman, but this is not correct. In deep sleep, the mind and the sense organs are non-functional. The upadhis of gross and subtle bodies cease to function temporarily, but the person exists. So the self exists as ever, with or without upadhis. Though in the body, the Atman is beyond it. Desires appear in the mind and sense organs because of avidya, maya, ignorance. The Atman, which has no beginning, is not conditioned by sense organs and is a substratum of this avidya also. The sense organs, with their thought patterns, vrittis, are not in the self. The Kathopanishad declares that there is no plurality in Atman. The insentient Indriyas cannot be the sentient Atman. That's the first line. The second line which says is, is not different from the mind or intellect. I am the mind of the mind, I of the I. So this is the second thing that Asamalaka is talking about. So how can the Indriyas be considered insentient? The body and the sense organs cannot function without the power of the Atman. Hence, they are inert. Inertness cannot be a part of vitality. Indriyas are enlivened by the Atman to act, just as an inert piece of iron set into motion by a magnet. Therefore, the Kenopanishad says, Atman is mind of the mind, prana of the pranas. The Brihandika Upanishad clearly says that the embodied Atman may appear limited by the body due to avidya, but Atman is limitless, all pervasive. It is conditioned, it's unconditioned by the body even when it occupies the body. That's the second concept that is being talked about. The third one is I am of the nature of, which is basically agamya, unknown, unreachable, unattainable, with mind, intellect. One cannot know the Atman. No instruments can be used to know the Atman. This is the third concept. So Atman basically enables the eye to see. It is the eye of the eye. Hence the eye cannot be Atman. Similarly, the ears cannot hear the Atman. The nose cannot smell the Atman, and the skin cannot touch Atman. The mind cannot feel it. The intellect cannot think of it. Chitta cannot imagine it, and the ego cannot comprehend it. The Atman is not inert as the body is, and cannot be comprehended by the organs of perception of the body. The organs of action also work only with the energy of the self. So the self is beyond the reach of these organs as well. Atman makes the hand catch something, but the hand cannot catch the Atman. Atman is the subject and not the object of perception. So typically, serious devotees, if you truly think about it, if you say that the mind cannot get you to the Atman, then why do we go on talking about then the Atman? See, we have satsangs twice or thrice a day, and every day we have Atman, the satsang. So if you cannot get to the Atman through the mind, then why do we have all this? And the other question that comes up is because if you go on reading, what happens? It's knowledge. Knowledge is where? Where knowledge is in the mind. And where is the mind? Mind cannot take you to the Atman. That's what they say. So let us see what some of the Upanishads say. There are some statements made by a couple of Upanishads. Let's see what they say. The Kena Upanishad says, that which the mind cannot think of, know that to be Brahman. I'll repeat that. That which the mind cannot think of, know that to be Brahman. The Kathopanishad says, by mind only it is known or gained, which is contradictory. So Kathopanishad says, by mind only it is known or gained. Keno says, that which the mind cannot think of. And the Taittiriya Upanishad says, where speech fails to reach it and mind returns beyond the realm of mind and speech. So these are the Upanishads which make these statements. So there is seeming contradiction in this. Okay, we need to understand this very carefully and try to see what they are saying. When you say the mind cannot know Atman, the mind cannot reach Atman as an object. That is what is being said here. When you say the mind cannot know Atman, it cannot know it as a paroksha vastu. If we are seeing it as an object, then mind will not know the Atman. So that's very important thing, that the first thing that is being spoken about. So the second one is by mind alone one can know the Atman. So that's the other thing. Is you have by the mind only you have to know the Atman. with mind only, I will recognize the Atman, mind of the mind. So in these various parshalas and schools, what happens is, if the student is a little distracted, what does the Acharya use a concept called Shaka Chandra Nyaya? So what he does is, in English it's called the branch moon maxim. Branch moon maxim, wherein the Acharya wants to show the student the moon, but the student is distracted. What does the Acharya say? He says, "Oh, look, see that tree there? Can you see that tree? Yes, I can see that tree. Okay, can you see the longest branch on the tree? Oh, yes, I can see the longest branch on the tree. Okay, so if you see that, you see go see the upper branch. You see the upper branch? Yes, I see the upper branch. Now, between those two branches, do you see the moon? Oh, yes, I see the moon. So what it's called is the branch moon maxim, wherein the Acharya uses the branch to show the moon. So exactly the same thing. The support is, what is the support used by Acharya? Support is used by of the branch to what? To show the moon. So exactly the same thing. The eye is used as a support by the teacher to show you the Atman. The third concept, which was beautifully talked about, is that the Atman is the mind of the mind, eye of the eye. So we are extremely familiar with what our speech, the way we speak, and the sight, what we see. But what we don't do is we fail to recognize, because of what do we speak? How do we speak? Because of what do we speak? When I see an activity happening, then what happens? I see it with my eyes. But can the eyes see by itself? It cannot. Independently, no, it cannot. The Atman illumines the eye, by which the eye can see. So that is the concept of eye of the eye. So the third concept that Hastamalaka is talking about is the Atman illumines the eye, Atman illumines the ear, Atman illumines the mouth. So how is this body able to speak? Because of the Atman, the mind is able to function. Because of the Atman, this mouth is able to speak. Because of the Atman, all of us are able to hear. So, but we see the challenge for us is, we always see we are the relative seers. We are not the absolute seers. So that is the trick about this Hastamalaka, what Bhagavan is trying to say here, is we have to move from being the relative seer to the absolute seer. That means what? The important thing that Bhagavan is trying to say is that we have to move from Bahirmukha, we have to slowly become Antarmukha. So Antarmukha, when you are there, then you are with that absolute seer. Then you are with the Atman. Then you are with the eye of the eye. You are with the speech of the speech. Everything is within. Everything is happening within. Nothing is happening outside. But we have to go through this process. So these verses brings out three beautiful statements, which is basically based on the Drigdrishya Viveka, which says that the seer is different from the seen. So the seer is different from the seen. The seen can never illuminate or recognize the seer. The seen can never illuminate or recognize the seer. And the third one, which is very most important, is the seer is always one. So these are three important things that come out of this. So from a practice perspective, what does it mean for us? So if you look at it, we have our own sorrows, we have our own problems, we have our own situations to deal with. So basically there are two buckets. There is an Atman bucket and there is a mind bucket. So if you see, all these things actually go into the mind bucket. All our problems and sorrows actually go into the mind bucket. So we have to use viveka. We have to use discrimination. But discrimination, funnily enough, from a yoga sankhya perspective, if you separate the Atman from the mind, they call it illumination. They call it realization. If you separate the Prakriti from Purusha, the Yoga Sankhyas say it is illumination. But from an Advaita perspective, it is not illumination. You have, see, when you have Viveka, what do you mean by Viveka? Viveka means there are two or there are three. There are options. Or that one has got many parts. Either there are many options or that one has got many parts, and you have to choose which one. So the important thing from Advaita perspective we have to understand is we have to go beyond Viveka. When you go beyond Viveka, there is no two. There is only one. So that's what Dilip spoke about. That's what Nand Kumar spoke about. All the thing is, there is only one. There is no two. So the important thing is from our perspective as Advaitans, we need to be very, very clear about this aspect that we have to be in that one. We have to recognize that one, and not we need to use Viveka and Vairagya, but we need to understand it very, very clearly that there is no two, there is only one. But typically what happens because of this is Hastamagrika says that he is not the insentient and perishable mind and sense organs, but the vital, imperishable Atman. But a doubt still can be raised. If the Atman cannot be perceived by the mind and senses, then how can it be realized at all? To refute this view of atheism and to establish the theory of Vedanta, Hastamalaka has got the next verse for us. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Thank you, Venkateshji. We continue the sharing with the sharing by Dr. Kalarani Rangasamy on Revi Kaluttaram.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் அருணாச்சல. Namo Ramana to all. With the abundance grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Devi Kalottara Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Bhagavan in Tamil. And in the last satsang we saw, Agam Amisattu Yachuniyam Aduve பரயோகத்து உய்த்திடுவதாக தான் உற்று முக்திக்கு வித்து என்று விளம்பும். Where there is nothing to be seen, where there is no drishti, and is the state where one merges with the Paravastu. As it is the only right path, that is Gati. Bhagavan says that is the Gati. This is the seed which makes one realize the self and to attain moksha. The sadhaka who aspire only moksha and who has left behind all the worldly objects need not go behind any other marga other than this direct path. And the next continuous 3 verses, Bhagavan says, Ner margamam idanai neetu. Leaving behind this direct path, that is the Jnana Marga, the Vichara Marga, the Mumukshu need not try with other yogas, chanting of mantras, etc. Chakkarangal, Nadigal, Sarpadum, Devadai, Akkarangal, Mandalamurti, Adiyam, Mikka Ivai. மந்திர கூட்டம் உயிர்ச்சலன தம்பனம் கும்பகம் முன் ஆய்வாம் தாரணைதாம் என்பவைகள். The sadhaka
who is keen in attaining moksha alone, and his concentration, if it is only on attaining moksha, need not try other margas, because any amount of doing parayanam or pranayam is not going to help him. But doing parayanam, the mind no wonder merges with the self. But how long? Till the pranan goes out. After it is, then only, that is only manolaya, because the mind also comes out along with the prana. There it does not make any manonasa. Only when there is manonasa, one can attain moksha. But for doing puja, mantra japa and mantra japas, one need mind to be there. As long as mind is there, one cannot attain moksha. One devotee from other ashram came to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan inquired about the routine in their ashram. The devotee said, right from the morning, we shishyas will be doing Rama Japa, and in the evening we used to give or offer the pala, the fruit of Japam, to our Guru. Bhagavan said, oh, how nice of you and your Guru. Pointing to Muruganar, Bhagavan with great excitement said, see, such a great thing they are doing. Spontaneously, Muruganar said, their Guru is better than the Guru whom I have got. Why? Then what? Then Guru has left behind the mind of his disciple to do Rama Japa. But the Guru whom I have is worst. He has destroyed our mind completely. Only when we have the mind, we can do japa with the mind. That is why Bhagavan says in Devi Kalotra, Pujai Vanakkam Puri Jabam Chintanam Acharipadi Edum Angu Illai. One who is interested in attaining moksha alone need not going for puja, japa. He need not observe any agama rules. Once, I'll tell you an instance. Once a great pandit was jealous of Kalidasa, and he was complaining that Kalidasa doesn't know anything about rituals. He's just boasting himself as so great, and people around him are also unnecessarily feel proud of him. He's not worthy of that. Once what happened, this Pandit was bathing in the river and was doing puja on the banks. And at a distance, Kalidas was taking bath. The Pandit, while doing puja, got a doubt. And he was little bit confused. What should he do? Nivedanam first or Arati first? Or Arati first, Nivedanam next. He was confused and was not doing anything because he was very particular that he should not go wrong at any cost. Kalidas, though he was at a distance taking bath, could sense this and said, what does it matter if you do this first or that first? Nothing will go wrong. The Pandit was stunned. How could this person know what I am thinking? Over and above that, he is giving a good solution also. Then he surrendered completely to Kalidas, because jnanis are not following rituals. It is not that. They do not know. It's not that they do not know rituals. They do. But as their mind is abiding in the self, they are seeing everything as self alone. They do not have anything to do at all, because all they see is self. In Ulladu Naarpadu, Bhagavan beautifully says, Tannai Adithu Ezhunda Tanmayanandarukku Iyattrutharukku Ennai Undru Ulladu. After the the destruction of ahankara and emerging in jnana and abiding in the self, what else a jnani has to do? Nothing is there. So a person in that state will naturally teach others that he should realize his own natural state. But for whom is this Upadesa? One has to completely surrender like Muruganar. Let's take an example. I'll tell you, once Muruganar was seen very excited, walking here and there in the ashram with a wet towel tied to his vest. And Bhagavan asked, what's the matter? Muruganar said, today is my mother's Tithi. Bhagavan said, oh, it's Amma's Tithi. Have you fixed Brahmanas for the Tithi? If not, I am here, one Brahman. You can search for another one. Muruganar was so moved and he understood Bhagavan's intention not to observe all these rituals. So Muruganar was quiet. But next year, Amma's Tithis came and he was not in search of Vedikas to perform Tithi, but he bought a jackfruit, a very big jackfruit, and he thought it can be distributed to the ashram inmates on that particular day. Seeing this, Bhagavan said, oh, today it is Amma's Tithi. That Vasana has not yet left you, isn't it? Okay. That's all. Muruganar gave mukti to Amma's Tithi. But Bhagavan did not encourage people who were not completely surrendered and are still in the clutches of worldly happenings. Because when sadhaka is in that state of only in that state of complete surrender, they would not be having any separate mind to do any karma. As Bhagavan says, ninnishtam enishtam. Whatever it's your wish, that will happen. And I'll accept it as it is. Whatever you think right for me to do, I have no say. Because in that state, there is one and only one in that is self alone. Because there is no separate mind to think about anything separately for oneself. Subramani Bharati beautifully says, Agni kunchondru kandén, அதை அங்கொரு காட்டிலோர் பொந்திடை வைத்தேன், வெந்து தணிந்தது காடு. தழல், இது குஞ்சென்றும் மூப்பென்றும் உண்டோ இது, தத்தரிகிட தித்தம். Likewise, with the direct path of jnana vichara in the mind, the ahankara gets completely distracted along with the mind. In that state of no mind, the sadhaka treats all equal. He finds no difference between sorrow, happiness. There is no desire, no anger, no expectations, no dejection, no hatred, and happiness will always be there in oneself. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue the song with the sharing by Sri Ujjwal Jagadish on Ramanacentre Bengaluru.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Ekam vakramupanka vasavilaha panau na shakyayudam martyatvam apakakini cha pritana pashvadvayena kina vesholam punaresha mugdhanayana prachadane vujusham antardhanamupaishi tarakaripo स्तन्यदायादतः रमणाय लोकगुरवे नमः रमणाय लोकगुरवे नमः रमणनिगे लोकगुरुविगे नमः रमणनिगे लोकगुरुविगे नमः ಒಂದು ಮುಖ ಧರಿಸಿ ಉಮೆ ಮಡಿಲ ಸರಿಸಿ ಕರದಿಂ ಶಕ್ತ್ಯಾಯುಧವ ತೊರೆದೆ ಮರ್ತ್ಯನಾಗಿ ಧ್ವಜ ಹಿಡಿದ ದೇವಸೇನೆಯ ಪಾರ್ಶ್ವದಿಂ ಮರೆಸಿದೆ ವೇಷ ಹರಿಸು ಸಾಕು ಮುಗ್ಧ ಜನರ ಮರುಳುಗೊಳಿಸಿ ನಲಿದೆ ಮರೆಸಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವೇ ನಿನಗೆ ತಾರಕರಿ ಪೂವೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಸೋದರನಿಂದ. Ganapati Muni is talking about Ramana and asking him the question, oh Ramana, I know what is your real nature is. I know who you are. You are that self which manifested as Subramanya and destroyed that Tarakasura, the Asura, who represents all the darkness of ignorance and all the darkness of evil and ignorance. You destroyed and you brought happiness to the world, and now you have again come to the world to be available to the world and to destroy the ignorance of all the people. But why are you having this disguise? Why have you come in the human form? This reminds me of a story how Ramana, he come in the human form, how he mesmerized, how did he fool the common men. There were a set of devotees who had come to Tiruvannamalai, and they had come in search of a Swami, the great Swami, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, and they came to Virupaksha cave. There, Ramana was doing some masonry work. He was building a wall. So he was tying a cloth on his head, and he was busy working on the masonry work that he was doing. And the devotees came and they inquired, Swami, we have heard that there is a great Swami, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, who stays here. Where is he now? And they could not recognize who Ramana was. And Ramana told, he is somewhere on the hill. And he continued his work that he was doing. And the devotees asked, when will that Swami come? When will the Swami come and give us his darshan? And Bhagavan replied laughingly, he may come today or he may come tomorrow. Don't know. Okay. And the devotees were very, very disappointed. They had come to see him. Now they had to leave back to their hometown. So they were very, very dejected, and they were walking back with sad faces. And on the way, they saw Echammal, who had directed them towards Virupaksha cave to have the darshan of Bhagavan. And they all had a sad face. So Echammal asked, what happened? Why are you all coming with sad face? Did you have the darshan of Bhagavan? And they told where there was some person who was doing some construction work, and he told that Swami is not there, and he may come today or he may come tomorrow. So we were very disappointed. We are going back home. And HMI told, who is that missionary, the person who will be doing that work? I'm sure Bhagavan will be right there at Virupaksha cave, because I'm taking the lunch to him. So please come with me and have darshan of Bhagavan. So HMI took all the devotees to the presence of Ramana at Virupaksha cave. There, Ramana had finished the work, and he had washed his hands and legs, and he had put vibhuti on his head, and he was sitting in the posture, the usual posture of Bhagavan Ramana in Padmasana. So all the devotees came and had the darshan of Bhagavan, and they all prostrated to him, and they went back happily. And Yachamar asked, Bhagavan, why did you do this? Such a prank. If the devotees, they had not had your darshan, would that have not been a sad situation? But Ramana told, no, I was ever available. They all had the darshan, but the thing is, they did not realize that they had had the darshan. That's why they are sad. So what do you expect me to do? Do you think that I should put a bell on my neck and say, here is the Swami, here is the Swami? Or should I write on my forehead that here is the Swami? And they both laughed, and this is how Ramana mesmerized, and he, with the eyes of the common man, he hided his greatness. But like Ganapati Muni and other great sages and saints and devotees who were drawn to Ramana, they could see that he is that divine who was incarnate in the form of a guru, and he's available to the whole world at Arunachala. This was known by few devotees like Ganapati Muni. So he says, you can hide this from common man, but those who are drawn to you and who have come to you and who have surrendered to you, they will all realize your true nature today or tomorrow, says Ganapati Muni. So how can you hide your greatness from your own brother? Ganapati Muni says in this one. And we know of this incident of Ranga. Ranga, who saw Bhagavan, also has his friend. He told Bhagavan, after many days when he came to Ramana to see him at Arunachala, he told Bhagavan, I was there with you. I was your best friend when you were in school. And just the day you left Madurai to come to Tiruvannamalai, I was there with you. But why didn't you share that you were leaving to Tiruvannamalai? Why didn't you at least tell me that you are leaving home? Then Bhagavan smiled and told Ranga, did I come like any other traveler? There was this great Shakti which drew me to Arunachala. I was just like a straw, and this Shakti was like a tornado. It was like a storm which just took me and brought me to Arunachala. And that is what happened. And how could I have known that I would be coming to Arunachala? It was that Shakti which has taken me. And we all know that that Shakti of Arunachala was ever shining in Ramana from his infancy, before even he could utter the words Amma and Appa. And that very same Shakti drew him to Madurai and gave him the realization that he is that very Shakti, and that very Shakti drew him to Arunachala and made him stay for 54 years in the physical presence. And then that very same Shakti absorbed him into Arunachala, and he is available. That very same Shakti is available in every heart and shining as I. And Ramana has come to reveal that he is not that body, that 6 feet body that everybody thinks that he is, but he is that self which shines in all beings. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. By the immense grace of Ramana, manifest as the self in all beings, and prostrating to that Ramana, manifest as the self in all beings, and also manifest out of the greatest compassion as Ramana for all of us to see, enjoy, celebrate, and imbibe the glory of the very self. We are meditating on the 108 names of Ramana, composed by Vishwanatha Swami. Of course, the Nama, Pituradeshata Shona Shailam Praptaya Namaha, reveals this. In that name of Bhagavan, Vishwanatha Swami talks about Bhagavan reaching Arunachala at the command of Arunachala. That is the day we are going to celebrate from tomorrow onwards. But right now, we are meditating on the Nama Swarna Hastakaya Namaha. And in a way, we are meditating on how Bhagavan has touched everything with his golden touch. Everything. And we meditated upon how he has touched the practice of Ishwararpita Karma, of action performed without any concern for the result, but offered to God, how he performed puja, the karma which is done by the kaya, as he has taught in Upadesha Saram, kaya, vang, manaha, and how he touched the vak, the shabda karma, the japa, and how, by doing that japa of Arunachala Nama. He says in Upadesha Saram again, Ajyadharaya Srota Sasamam Sarala Chintanam. That japa, which he says could be loud, and it could be soft, or it could be in the mind, Uchcha, Manda, or Chittajam japa. That which is within in the mind, naturally going on, and such a japa should be sarala, should be continuous and full of love. And that japa, the practice of such japa, Bhagavan touched with his golden hand by ever having the Arunachala mantra, the Arunachala nama, the name of Arunachala, ever resonating within him. Ever resonating within him. And this Bhagavan says, Arivar Sirvayadadu Mudal. When we meditated upon the name Shonachala Maholina Manasaya Namaha, we saw that his mind was completely absorbed in Arunachala, in the glory of Arunachala, as well as the name of Arunachala. The name was also ever reverberating within him. Such practice of japa is called ajapa. It becomes constant. And that is the kind of japa which Bhagavan has not only blessed by his own practice, but also guided the devotees to do. He tells Vishwanatha Swami and Krishnamurti Iyer and others to do a japa which is 24/7, all the time. And by his practice of that japa, he has blessed, he has given the touch of the golden hand to all those seekers of truth who practice japa sadhana, who do japa, who keep on repeating the holy name. Bhagavan has blessed that with his golden touch. And Chintanam, the enquiry, Pujanam Japas Chintanam. The enquiry he blessed when, as a boy of 12 first, he enquired into the nature of death. What is the nature of death? He inquired into the nature of death, and subsequently again in the Madurai house of his uncle on the 17th of July 1896, again 125 years ago, Bhagavan performed the most intense practice of self-inquiry by inquiring directly into the very nature of the one who dies. By enacting, rather almost living through vividly the experience of death and inquiring, who is it that dies? What is it that dies? And he found that it is only the body which dies. Then he was, from that moment onwards, ever abiding in the self. And he says that was like the Shruti, the aham spurana, aham taya spurati hrit swayam, again, as he says in Upadesha Saram, was ever shining within him. The Arunachala spurana merged into the Aham Spurana and remained as the very core nature of Arunachala, which is the self itself. And thus Bhagavan blessed the self-inquiry process for every one of us. Swarna Hastakaya Namaha. His entire life, every moment is a bliss of his golden touch. The golden touch which elevates, which takes us back softly, gently to our very nature. Swarnatakaya Namaha. And then Srimad Dwadashanta Mahastale Labdha Vidyodayaya Namaha. And he came to Madurai for studies. So called studies. Everyone keeps saying that Bhagavan was not a great student. What can we say about that? They say, the biographers record, many of them, that he was an average student. Is it such a thing possible? Of course, he did not show any particular interest in academics. That is a fact, a kind of interest which people could notice. And why was this so? Everyone recognized later that if Bhagavan ever heard something said, even once if he heard something, he would automatically grasp it, know it. Then what further interest would he have to show in it? An academic process which calls for the repetition of academic facts was obviously not of interest to him. And why was he sporting much? Why was he given to swimming and wrestling? Because those are very much in the now. They are every moment. They are ever fresh. Not like academics in the typical sense, which was only memory-based. Most of our studies are memory-based. For that, he did not have to give much attention at all because it was already there with him. In a moment, he had grasped and finished it and probably retained it and could reproduce it. So there was no need to engage in it further. But what did he do? He played with his friends. He swam in the Vaigai. He swam along with his friends. And there too, they would go in the night. They would pretend, they would keep some pillows, cover it up with the sheets at home. And he and his elder brother Nagaswami were the leaders. And they would go with their friends to Vaigai for swimming and races and for learning Shilambatam, some martial arts. And all this was Bhagavan. He probably trained all his friends in focusing. In those martial arts require a lot of focus, lot of attention, concentration, rather attention to that. And of course, swimming, diving, holding the breath. Bhagavan, in a playful manner, shared all this with his friends. He touched the pranayama. So very often we find Bhagavan giving the example of diving in with the breath held. Diving in with the breath held. So he gave the golden touch to the pranayama and all the hatha yogic practices in a way by keeping the body well disciplined, well trained, and absolutely under control, which is what yoga is all about. And then he was poised for that moment of jnana, and thereafter to show the life of complete surrender to his Sadguru Arunachala, his father Arunachala, his mother Arunachala, because though he says, I have gone in search of my father, though he writes, Father, I have come, he has called Arunachala the mother and father. He says, Ammayum appanumai yenai bhumiyil aakki alittu. You have created me on this earth. It is you who have created me on this earth, O Arunachala, as mother and father, because Arunachala is one. It is Ardhanarishwara. It is the oneness of mother and father that Arunachala stands for. Ammayum appanumai yenai bhumiyil aakki alittu. Mahimaya enum aazhkadal vendu yaan aazhnidum mun en manam manni izhattu. Before I could fall into the sea of samsara, you caught hold of my mind and you pulled me to your feet and you kept me steady at your feet, says Bhagavan, describing his own biography as just that journey, that only that one movement from Venkataramana to Ramana Sadguru, the play of Arunachala. And that is the Leela which Bhagavan has come to display in his own life as well for every one of us. And that's why Bhagavan says, Un Arul Valai Tappumo. Every one of us will be caught or is already caught in his net of grace to be pulled to his feet. Gradually, perhaps in our imagining of time, but certainly and surely in his play of grace. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Before we conclude today's satsang, I would like to announce that as a part of the celebration of this 125th year of Bhagavan's advent to Arunachala, we at Ramanacentre Center for Learning will be premiering 4 Upadeshasaram in 4 languages. Tomorrow at noon, we will be premiering the original Tamil Upadesha Undiyar and Bhagavan's own Sanskrit translation Upadesha Saram as YouTube videos for all of us to do manana, to sing along and to do manana in these 4 days of Bhagavan's journey. Once a day or many times in a day, to remain in this thought of, to remain with the Ajyadhara, because this purpose for which Bhagavan went to Arunachala, Bhagavan says, is Tanmayam, Sharikat Tanmayam, Shivakat Chinmayam. It is for the Tanmaya, for the Anmanishta to flourish, that he has come to this earth, and that is Arunachala's job. So let us all do manana on the Upadesha Sara. We can sing along with all the languages or choose any one language and sing along with it. We will be sharing the Upadesha Sara for manana for these 4 days. And there will be a special satsang in Kannada tomorrow evening. And there will be a special event on the 1st of September. This will be by the children, because as I said, it is the coming to Ammayappa. So the children of Ramana Maharshi Center for Learning, the students of Ramana Maharshi Center for Learning, will be presenting music, dance, shlokas, story as an offering to Bhagavan on the 1st of September. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We conclude the satsang with the chanting of verses of Akshara Manamale, which of course has to be remembered when we think of Bhagavan's advent to Arunachala. The verses will be chanted by Radha and Vallabh, and Ashtotra Puja to Bhagavan will be offered at the altar of Dilip Simha and will be chanted by Vaibhavji, Prarthana, Uma and Ashwini.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. மொட்டையடித்தனை வெட்ட வெளியில் நீ நடமாடின என் அருணாச்சலா. மோகம் தவிர்த்தும் உன் மோகம் வைத்தும் என் மோகம் தீராயேன் அருணாச்சலா. மௌனியாய் கற்போர் மலராதிருந்தால் மௌனமிதாமோ அருணாச்சலா. எவனின் வாயில் மண்ணினையட்டி என் பிழை பொழித்த அருணாச்சலா. யாரும் அறியாத மதியினை மறுட்டி எவர் கொலை கொண்ட அருணாச்சலா. ரமணன் என்றுரைத்தேன் ரோஷம் கொள்ளாதெனை ரமித்திட செய்யவா அருணாச்சலா. ராப்பகலில்லா வெறுவெளி வீட்டில் ரமித்திடுவோம் வா அருணாச்சலா. லட்சியம் வைத்தருளஸ்திரம் விட்டென்னை பக்ஷித்தாய் பிராணனோடு அருணாச்சலா. லாபநீக பர லாபமில் என்னை உற்று லாபம் என்றுற்றனை அருணாச்சலா. வரும்படி சொல்லிலை வந்தென் படியள வருந்திடும் தலை விதி அருணாச்சலா. வாவென்றகம் புக்கும் வாழ்வருளன்று என் வாழ்விழுந்தேன் அருள் அருணாச்சலா. விட்டிடு கஷ்டமா விட்டிடாதுனை உயிர் விட்டிட அருள் புரி அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ 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 அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி. அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி. நமோ ரமண.
नमो रमण. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योमि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि ॐ महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः. ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः. ॐ गुरवे नमः. ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः. ॐ महौजसे नमः. ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः. ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः. ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः. ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः. ॐ सहायम्बा सहायवते नमः। ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः। ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः। ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजगशलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणस्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री षोडाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वामनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ हृच्चान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसाराणावतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः ॐ गुहाय नमः ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः ॐ देवतमाय नमः ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೆ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की
जय।